Good morning, everybody, again. This is the beginning of day 14. I'm going from Peevely, Missouri, down to Cape Girardeau. Mileage will be a lot shorter today. I did some of the mileage yesterday, and after some research last night, I had to do some more tweaks. I'm finding out that I'm doing less mileage than I expected for the whole trip, for the trip as a whole. I'll explain that later in another video segment. Going to be a warm one. I think it's supposed to get up to 92 today, something like that. And there's going to be some hills. So, but we're getting an early start. It is almost 6 o'clock now. And so I'm expecting to have another good day. And I'll see you later.
Okay, so this segment, I'm going to risk boring some of you. I've had several people, including my wife, ask me, what's the deal with tweaking my route? Because at the beginning of the trip, I expected to go 2,056 miles for the duration of the trip. And the mileage has been less than expected because I've had to tweak my routes from here and there for various reasons. So I thought I'd go real quick for those of you who are interested. If not, you can skip ahead. But for those of you who are interested, to talk a little bit about how I go about choosing my routes. I don't know how other bicyclists do it. Have no idea. But I want to explain how I do it. So to make it simple, there's basically 4 different kinds of roads. There's the interstate, there's the U.S. routes, there's the state routes, and there's the county roads. And actually there's a 5th. Some counties will have township roads. So there's really 5 kinds of roads, and every road has its advantages and disadvantages for bicyclists. Well, right away we can cross off interstates. It's federal law. You can't bicycle on interstates. Not that I would if I could anyway. That'd be ridiculous. So take the interstate and move it out. Now you've got U.S. routes, state routes, county roads, and township roads. Ideally, as a bicyclist for me, I would love to have a paved road with no traffic. That's, for me, the ideal road. A lot of county roads are like that. They're paved. At least where I'm from, in Ohio, county roads are paved and there's very little traffic. But over here, things are a little different. So let me back up. When I first did this route, the MRT, the Mississippi River Trail, for the most part, followed along U.S. Route 61. It's a U.S. route. U.S. route has lots of traffic, but U.S. routes generally, not always, generally have a good shoulder. So when you look at the condition of a road, you look for pavement, you look for width of a shoulder, okay, on the right side of the white line. If I have a good U.S. route that's nicely paved, and I have a 6, 8, 10-foot shoulder, I have no issues riding on a U.S. route. I know some people do. I don't have any issues. I could ride on that all day long. But not all U.S. routes have that. In fact, today, today's being day 14, right? I had no shoulder on a U.S. route, 61, and so it was not the safest route. So you say, well, why not take? So when I looked at the MRT route at the beginning, before I started the trip, I tried to find county roads that ran parallel to the U.S. routes, so I could have an alternative route. And my intent was to take county roads whenever possible. Well, here's the problem in the Midwest. Many county roads, and especially township roads, are gravel or dirt. I learned that the hard way a couple different times. Wanted to take county roads and found out they were gravel. Gravel is not good for road bikes. It's very tenuous. You're just waiting to get a flat. And so I realized pretty quickly why the MRT runs along U.S. routes, because over here in this part of the country, so many of the county roads and township roads are gravel. So when I tweak my routes, that's what I'm doing. I go on Google Maps, I look at the satellite images. It's very time consuming to make sure that my routes aren't going on gravel. Sometimes on satellite images you can tell whether a road is gravel or not. Sometimes you can't. But when I find gravel, I have to tweak my route because I don't want to ride my bike on gravel roads. And so I eventually end up oftentimes on US Route 61. Well, US Route 61, as most US routes are generally straighter, and they wind around left. They wind around less. So you're decreasing your mileage when you take US routes. The other difference is the hills. US routes typically have graded hills because a lot of times trucks are traveling on US routes. So the hills are not as steep, typically, as back roads. County roads, township roads, they don't care. For those of you who've been in Amish country in Ohio, that's a good example in Holmes County. Hills are as steep as God intended them. We don't mess with them. And so on county roads, while there's less traffic, there's also steeper hills. So there's advantages and then disadvantages to all this, and I take all of this into account when I review my route for the next day. And what's been happening is I'm finding more dirt roads than I expected, and so I'm finding myself on US routes, typically US Route 61, which is the official MRT trail usually, and so that's decreasing my mileage. So there you go. For those of you who are wondering, I'm on pace to get less than 2,056 for the trip, and we'll see how it goes from here on out. So that's that. Okay, Mitch? All right. Cam, did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't want to have to retake this. You think they understand what I was saying?
Probably so.
Probably so.
They're smart people.
You're very smart people. All right, later. A picture of our Airbnb for the night. A quaint cottage in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, home of the Southeast Missouri State University. Yeah. There we go. Everybody, just finished up the ride for day 14. It was a stressful one. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what my mileage is. I'll have to check. Somewhere around 85. Not the most fun road to ride on. When they designate a road, the Mississippi River Trail, it should be safe to assume that it's going to be bicycle friendly. This road was not bicycle friendly.
You've had a lot of those.
I've had a lot of them, yes. And I can understand certain segments, particularly in the city. But this was like pretty much all day long. No shoulder. And of course, you know where the white line is on the edge of the road. Ideally, you want to have a shoulder on the right side of the white line. There was, at times, maybe a foot and a half. But the worst part is, on the white line, they had the rumble strip all the way down the road. I don't know if I said this before, but if any of you have ever ridden a bicycle over rumble strips, it is not pleasant. Every single bone in your body vibrates. So I dealt with that all day long. And it was just stressful because I'm constantly looking in my side view mirror, making sure that the traffic coming behind me is aware and knows what's going on. I had my fluorescent orange shirt on, fortunately. Road safety. Practice road safety, Mitch. I practice road safety all day long. And that's why I'm still here. So we went from Peevely to St. George, Cape Girardeau. We're right here on the Mississippi. And started at about 6:20. Got here
2:15.
2:15. Made really good time. Stopped at a park halfway at Perryville. Ate some lunch. And that was pretty much the extent of it. Well, I was biking. Kim was having fun with Mitch.
Well, I did do some continuing ed this morning before I
Like
left
I
the
said,
hotel.
you were having some fun.
Yes. And then Mitch and I came to Cape Splash Town. So it was a splash park that had a lazy river, so lazied in the river and just enjoyed some sun and some fresh air. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. That's about it for today, right?
Yeah.
Fairly uneventful. Tomorrow we have a very interesting decision to make. Very interesting. In the original route, I was planning on going down the Missouri side of the river to I think it's called Hickman, Tennessee.
Hickville, I don't know.
Hickman, Tennessee. Anyway, there's a ferry that you'd have to make to get across the river. That's the original plan. We're eventually going to Tiptonville, Tennessee. Is where we're going. So that's about a 100-mile trip. But there was a ferry involved. So we've got to see what the ferry schedule is and what all that entails. That was the original plan. However, there's another plan, and the distance is about the same, where I can cross the river here at Cape Girardeau, go down the Illinois side, cross the Ohio River right before it meets the Mississippi, and go into Kentucky, travel south into Kentucky, cross over into Tennessee, and I can say I rode my bike in 4 states in one day. How many people can say they rode their bicycle in 4 states in one day? Kim?
We would have to do the math.
We would have to do the math. You want to do the math?
Oh, no. Not
Neither
at
do I.
all.
So that'd be cool to say that you rode in 4 states in one day. But I don't know the roads, the condition of the roads that I'd be taking, or the traffic. So I'm going to do some research on that tonight and figure out which route I want to take. Kim's got a whole different decision to make. She could go across the river here at Cape Girardeau, go down to Tiptonville, or she can go all the way down, take the ferry, or go down further south and cross over and come back north. I don't know what she's going to do, but we'll see. All right, that's all for today, I think. Got a couple segments coming up. The ever popular one, of course, but got a couple other segments to explain a little bit about how I go about my day, choosing route-wise. So with that said, dun-da-da.
Carcasses on the pavement.
How long did you think today before you came up with that one?
Just a few seconds.
Carcasses on the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
You have a morbid mind. I guess you're going to come up with so many adjectives.
You're the one that's counting them.
I am counting, yes. And then the math got high today, really high. So let's go into that. See you later. Yes, it is that time again for the critically acclaimed, the long-awaited for. I'm running out of descriptions. You got any? Kim can't wait. In fact, Kim's so excited. Sorry, Mitch, you're out of the picture. Kim's in the picture. I'll have to find a way to fit all this in here. She wants to be a part of this amazing segment.
I do want to be a part of it?
Yes, the segment is amazing. Kim, guess what I found today?
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. I found 14 raccoons. They're all over the place. I don't think you ever get out of raccoon country, do you? Is there anywhere that doesn't have raccoons? I have no idea. 10 armadillo.
How many?
10. So I went over it yesterday. I'm not going to go over it again. You know, the debacle that was 1957. You remember that, right, Cam? I wasn't around then, but you were, right? Maybe not.
Yeah, you're in trouble now.
armadillos, they volunteered to host the first ever FRS. You know what FRS is, right? The Federation of Road Safety. They volunteered to host that in 1957, and then they backed out last second. Called it a scam. Thought it was a government conspiracy. And ever since then, they've been opposed to the FRS. Well, they're paying the price. No, ignorance is not an excuse. So I found 10 armadillos today, 8 possums. By the way, little known fact about possums. Here you go, Ken. That's a good one. I'm not talking about much about possums because the statistics on possums is uncertain. Most road safety experts say anywhere between 10 and 50% of the possums you find on the road aren't really dead. They're just acting like it. Yeah, so it's hard to know exactly how safe possums are today when it comes to road safety. So I don't say much about that because the numbers aren't necessarily accurate. 14 coons, 10 armadillos, 8 possums, 6 UFOs, 3 squirrels, 2 deer, and 1 little tiny snake. I'm not sure what kind it was. Probably a garter. It was a tiny one. That's the numbers for today. I put the totals up, but I told you armadillos are going to catch up and pass everybody really quick. And that's exactly what they're doing. I don't think they're going to catch the coons, but they might end up, take UFOs out of the picture, because that's kind of their own category. They might end up second when it's all said and done. They're going to pass turtles, I think, for sure. It's not hard to pass a turtle, is it, Kim?
No.
They move pretty slow. So, yeah, I'm expecting to be at least second. We'll see how that goes. Anything else to do on what was that dead thing? I think that's it. I'll be interested to see what happens tomorrow. We're in the 4 different states. We could get creative with the statistical analysis tomorrow as we go through 4 different states, if that's the route we choose.
But you can do that.
Yeah?
I have no interest in that.
You have no interest in that? I don't think you've really shown much interest in this segment at all.
No.
Every time I do this, you're on your Kindle.
Yep.
And the only time I get a reaction out of you is when you think I'm ridiculous.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Later.